We'll have to wait and see if that's what the direction that they're going to go as we're ready for Game 2 and the picks and bans there. This time it's Team Queso in that first pick slot, OutCold in the second selection, and King Arthur, usually the de facto first pick when left open, was kind of thrown by the wayside for the Jormungandr. I imagine that OutCold's going to be pretty comfortable giving that up again, and I just wonder if Julio's going to elect for that or the Jorm himself.
I think that there's also still heavy contention happening lately in solo for Achilles and Bologna. Julio is definitely one of the more aggressive solo laners, but I think that he's always kind of leaned a little bit more towards solo laners like the Vamana, for example, or King Arthur tier.
Yep.
I think he just really loves gods that can harass a backline.
Yes, definitely his play style, and the Kamazoth as well can do that pretty effectively, but Queso doesn't want to deal with the Jormungandr. They're going to ban it away. And OutCold Gaming leave open the Merlin. They continue to focus out Dracomarino, and now Merlin is on the table here for Queso, but that would mean they're giving up King Arthur and Xbalanque potentially. And instead of Merlin, the de facto god that everyone is worried about, it's Nuwa first pick for Warchi.
OutCold could potentially have Merlin and King Arthur, the best of both worlds, essentially, on their team, if so desired. But Dimi has, well, I guess, never mind, because Queso already banned the Jormungandr because they wanted to try and protect their backline a little bit better.
Mix it up.
It's going to be the Achilles instead, though.
Good.
And I almost feel like this might be worse.
Yeah, it's pretty good for OutCold. I like what they've got so far. Merlin Achilles is pretty strong. Hey, that's PrettyPriMe playing Merlin, right? I mean, I don't think there's a sub for this game or anything like that. That's a pretty good one, I think. Look, Prime's gotten the chance to play the Merlin before, and I believe they've lost with him on it. That was when they were losing a lot. OutCold on a winning streak right now. They're feeling hot. And then to give arguably their best player, arguably the best god, is interesting from Queso. That's my analysis. It's interesting.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it plays out for him.
It sure is. King Arthur and Jing, the next two for Queso, getting Checkio something nice and safe. King Arthur again for Julio, and the Serqet locked in for OutCold. Normally I would say this is easily flexible over to the support role, but I imagine, again, Breez, new to the competitive scene, fairly new to SMITE, all things considered, that maybe we should stick him on the traditional Guardians, and I would expect this going over to FrostiaK.
And Breez could potentially just look for a Sobek run back. I think that, for the most part, Breez was generally accomplishing his given task as a support player, just trying to cause a lot of interruptions, prevent Dracomarino in that last game from having the Serqet easy escapes or even the easy jump-ins into the team. I really like that the Sobek was able to disperse the members of Queso so easily, thanks to some assistance as well from Dimi. But with Dimi on the Achilles, I almost feel like Queso was going to constantly be huddling back into their own tower line corners.
Yes, that certainly did. That's something that we have to watch out for at this point with Dimi on that Achilles. A couple hunters banned away by Queso, and Chernobog left open. That's going to be the direction that we see OutCold Gaming go. And Chernobog, I've been saying a lot, Taco, I think it's underpicked right now. He feels pretty strong to me.
The fact that Living Nightmare can take you to anywhere on the opposite side of the map that your enemy might be at is just the ultimate chase down potential. And I like all this dive that we're already seeing from OutCold Gaming. And there's a steady swing of power spikes from the early through transitioning over into the late game, should this be another 50-minute duking it out.
Well, there's early game for Queso. They lock in the Ratatoskr in the jungle this time around for WorstTurttle, a god that he's very comfortable with. It's a lot of late game in the Nuwa, and I think the Terra. Other than that, Queso looks like they're pretty well equipped for the early to mid game. I like the way they went with their draft, but man, OutCold is looking strong, and what in the world is going on? Poseidon?
It could be Poseidon support.
No, there's no way they play Poseidon support, right? That doesn't make any, like, it doesn't do anything. It's bad, right? I mean, you got the cripple, it's good against the Arthur and the Terra and the Rat. I don't know.
Might be Poseidon support.
Maybe it's
or jungle.
Okay, Achilles support. Poseidon jungle, Serqet, no. Poseidon no. Let's just, casters do the stuff with this draft. Yeah, just take it.
Yeah, let's take it away. Thanks, Aggro and Taco, for doing your best there. Queso and OutCold with some interesting drafts. And totally, we got to talk about, where all this stuff is going here first. FrostiaK is indeed Poseidon jungle.
And Breez trying to do his best Dracomarino impersonation with a Serqet support. FrostiaK playing Poseidon jungle makes sense. It's a cripple on the Whirlpool, shuts down Julio, prevents WorstTurttle from dashing in aggressively, shuts down Dracomarino that's always looking for those dashes to combo off of the monoliths. Makes sense.
Yes. The Whirlpool is good here.
We've seen Habwa jungle. We've seen Alquang jungle. Poseidon jungle has been played before in the past.
Yep.
Not sure if it was played by FrostiaK in his past.
Yeah, not so sure.
But it does a lot of damage.
He's been around a long time. I'm sure he's played
He's a very severe threat when he makes his rotations from the jungle.
Yes, Poseidons can be scary even if they gank you from mid, so certainly he won't be a non-factor. It's just, can he have quite the same impact as maybe another assassin would, or maybe this team had a guardian somewhere in the team comp? That's just the kind of balance they have to make sure that they're striking. But as much as I want to talk about that, I don't know that Warchi had first pick new WoW value last game, that they would go back to it first overall and give up the Merlin to PrettyPriMe.
He's going to struggle harder this game probably against the Poseidon and Serqet. And then, oh yeah, Merlin on top of it. You go up in the fire shards, there's a lot of damage waiting for you upon landing.
Exactly. It'll be the Whirlpool Kraken, I imagine, most times, if not the Merlin snowstorm and everything waiting for you there too. It's going to be a scary scenario for you, trying to come back down to all Merlin's damage or Poseidon's damage too. So Warchi going to need to really show up to prove that this is better than having a Merlin on your team.
You got the fire and water, or fire and ice from PrettyPriMe. The ice out of PrettyPriMe. It's going to be scary as Breez already drops in that solo lane. Credit goes to Dracomarino.
Seems like he wasn't completely comfortable in this 2v2 happening over in the solo lane totally on the Serqet, and ends up getting caught out. It's so difficult to battle into a King Arthur this early, and when you add in some of the control from this Terra, then yeah, you can get shut down easy, especially with Blink as your first relic.
Yet again, Dracomarino getting a lot of early game value on the supports. As a Terra, not the same kind of value that you would get as a Serqet.
Right, I agree.
You were rushing the Black Forge Hammer, but this time around, Dracomarino on the Terra. Not sure what he's going to rush quite yet. If he wants to, honestly, just go for the Gauntlet of Thebes, if I'm being quite honest with you. Try to stack that up as quickly as possible. Keep everyone up alive and healthy.
But this is good news, though. If early on you can get a kill and put your team a little bit ahead, you have the Ratatoskr. I don't know that anyone else is better on this map in that level 5, 6, and 7 area than Rat is. Once he has that ult online, he can be such a nuisance. And maybe even try and accelerate it, keep Breez further behind, or help Julio develop more of a lead. They have a lot of options available as WorstTurttle rotates over.
It's funny how the metas shift between weeks. We're currently in, what, week 10 of the minor league? In the first couple of weeks, Ratatoskr was like first pick, first banned by the minor league teams at the very least, and now being picked after the secondary phase, almost very last.
It is, I mean, you're right. The meta shifts in so many different ways. Right now, they're doing the 2v2 start over here in solo by bringing the support over. We don't always see that in the SML and the console league. It is pretty standard in SPL, but not every team has adapted it here. And you can see it didn't work out for Breez. I wonder if they're as seasoned on it as they are with doing a more traditional start, as he ends up getting caught out a little bit. I mean, here's an ultra for Spudio, but he goes into the wall. Should be A-okay.
The slow out Spudio, stun him out as well. Follow up from Chekio, gets off the living nightmare just in the nick of time.
Where's he going to come back down, though, is the question. Just right back in place. Spudio played that one very bravely, never used the purification beads, never appeared to be in that much duress, and he's right, he made it out.
I'm surprised that Chekio just doesn't wait underneath and use the airstrike.
I don't know why he went so far away, I agree.
That might have been a kill. But either way, missed opportunity, force out the ultimate, no beats.
Maybe they had the information that FrostiaK was nearby and didn't want to aggress, as he ends up showing his hand here in the middle lane. Team Queso goes down, and they find themselves the first kill. So maybe they were afraid of something like that happening, is why they didn't step up underneath the ultimate coming out from Spudio.
A small little sample size of many to come out of the Whirlpool Krakens. This time it was on Dracomarino, the only level 4 Terra. Didn't bag for the reinforced shoes quite yet. Does have it available now, some more protections available to him. I'm almost tempted for him to just straight up rush magical defense against PrettyPriMe and FrostiaK. If you're going to be in the middle lane trying to assist Warchi, as you should, that's playing the Nuwa, then you're going to need the magical defense, anticipating that kind of follow-up.
I think you're right, too. Something like an Oni Hunters maybe early on could certainly be really strong for Dracomarino into these two magic damage dealers to try and slow them down. But you could see a little bit of what FrostiaK can bring from the jungle with this Kraken, with that Whirlpool. He has some extra mobility on that Trident as well, and even a little bit of a knockback. So he has some of the tools, maybe not quite as mobile as maybe some other assassins, but he can still cover a good amount of ground and cause some problems.
Genji's wouldn't be bad either if they're looking for some cooldown reduction as a Terra player to force team fights. Could even go Heartward Amulet if you want the MP5 value for yourself and your allies. Maybe a little bit of magical protection aura in case you aren't the initial target, but your allies could be. Mid lane, though, FrostiaK could be in a little bit of trouble if he steps too far forward.
He's being cautious, hanging out underneath the tier 1. It's actually OutCold, the aggressor's last breath brings him right back into the Kraken, and an easy combination. It's almost like a mid-jungle pairing, except it was support jungle and Poseidon Serqet.
Yeah, WorstTurttle without purification beads will die to that every time if he doesn't get off that CC immune ultimate.
Warchi now in trouble too, as the Merlin says he can contribute plenty, doesn't even let Warchi up into the sky, and OutCold on the board quickly with 3 kills. Team Queso starting to buckle a bit underneath the pressure, but to be fair, they still hold the gold lead.
They do for now, as Chekio was trying to strip away that purple buff. Minion's going to be denied under that tower. Chekio might have bit off more than he can chew, trying to outrun FrostiaK's damage, holding on to the airstrike, knowing that the Kraken's not available.
This is trouble for Breez. He ends up falling. WorstTurttle gets the kill, and Warchi was there just in case it was necessary. So this is unfortunate, man. Breez now taking a couple of spills, and I think he had some really good moments for them on that Sobek game last game. That's why I'm surprised that they moved him off such a traditional Guardian and into this Assassin support. At least throughout the early game, it seems like there's been a couple missteps.
I think his play style, from what I've gathered in a small time watching him, is just aggressive by nature.
Sure.
I think his very first game in the minor league was a Bacchus, if I'm not mistaken, which is aggressive support, not a very common one being
almost
picked
a
up.
mage, really.
Seriously, right? And then, like, it's funny because of how all the changes we've done to him that he's not as popular as he should be, I think, on the Bacchus. But either way, right? Even playing the Sobek in the previous game, he wasn't playing it like a traditional support Sobek would by peeling in the backline. He was prioritizing his front line aggressive positioning, backline penetration to assist Dimi with some kills, as opposed to shelling PrettyPriMe in most of the previous game. And now, here in Game 2, he's on the Serqet support, thinking offensively, which works out, getting FrostiaK 3 assists.
He'll just have to make sure he keeps up that pressure, even if he does take a couple spills. As mid-Harpies, a small scuffle, but WorstTurttle not willing to step in up against 2, especially not with FrostiaK. Showing some comfort on this Poseidon in the jungle. I'm not saying you should go home and play Poseidon in the jungle right now, but if you're FrostiaK on a team with some other real good players, then you can make something like this work, and so far they have. The question just becomes, the later this game goes on, are they still going to have enough setup as they go make Dracomarino the target?
Oh, the last breath actually spreading now to WorstTurttle as well. Warchi, no beads, no life. Spudio with a clutch global rotation.
I don't get this new WoW pick totally. I'm looking to you to convince me why this is a first pick value for them. Last game, it didn't impress me much, and this game, it's been a sitting duck for all this early pressure.
Now, I don't like Nuwa first pick. I don't mind the pick in general.
Sure.
But when Merlin's up, that needs to be first pick.
It's just not better than Merlin, right?
Like, you have so much more space control. You got more cooldown reductions. You have a flicker to get away to safety.
From that, right? Yeah.
Granted, like, Nuwa can, flicker in the sky, but that's an ultimate ability. That takes a lot longer.
Right.
So I don't have any merit towards the first pick Nuwa.
Right, and even if you agree that Nuwa and Merlin are even, which I think is not true, it just is good to take it away from Prime. You know how strong that guy is, so it is a couple question marks for me on this pick. But maybe Team Queso can still turn around. This game's not over yet, and they can show us why they value this Nuwa pick so highly, maybe a little bit more towards the late game. But right now, OutCold are continuing up the pressure. The gold lead still favors OutCold, but can I see the charts? Maybe experience is favoring them. About 1,600 favor of OutCold, despite being down in gold. Even close to 2,000 shows they are still the aggressors.
So to piggyback off of the previous conversation with the Nuwa pick, Queso have drafted a composition around the Nuwa. Dracomarino on the Terra is thinking about ways to keep Warchi alive. WorstTurttle is going to be looking to dive the backline for damage, so that's where Warchi's damage on the fire shards will accelerate that kill threat that the Ratatoskr is going to have. The problem that I'm seeing is Julio on the Arthur. If he's diving with WorstTurttle, Dracomarino has to be on the back end, but he invested into the horrific emblem. He doesn't have a shell or a sprint.
This could be trouble now for Spudio. He goes into the wall and immediately charges his ultimate. That's enough for him to get out, but he just comes right back down. The disengage comes down instantly from Queso, and now FrostiaK's here moving pretty quickly. They don't quite have the lockdown potential, but look at this loop around. They've got Dracomarino in the jungle. WorstTurttle and Chekio have to know there's company on the way, and that presence from Draco was enough to push him back.
Breez is kind of still in a position to look for an engage, and there he goes onto Dracomarino. Last breath, Whirlpool, Kraken still being held down to finally being used. FrostiaK with his first kill of the game.
And WorstTurttle, I love the ambition, my man, but it might be too little too late. Warchi wants to rotate in too. He is able to hit with just the Shining Metal. That's not bad damage from that on FrostiaK. But look, a collapse coming through. Chekio has joined in with WorstTurttle, but Breez still had the ambush, gets away. That's critical that they safely disengaged.
A 1-for-0. Dracomarino, though, has respawned, going for the Genghis card that we were kind of alluding to, a magical defense item. I like this idea to be able to get 150 health, extra magical defense. You might actually get an Oni Hunter as well, trying to straight up get damage mitigation, or maybe Spirit's Robe. If he can survive that initial burst of the last breath Kraken combo, then the rest of his team fights wouldn't be bad to heal up.
Yeah, I think Genji in the Spirit Room sounds pretty good right now. Even Oni, if that's the route that he wants to go. Though I know everyone has been really high on Gauntlet, it might be too hard to pass up at this point. But he's so far behind, about 2 levels in terms of experience. Maybe you can't afford to go a slow item like that as he lurks in the jungle, but can't quite find Spudio yet.
Spudio doing a good job surviving a lot of these ganks, sitting at 1-0 and 1. Dracomarino looping around. Chekio will complete the back fully. And the way Spudio landed instantly from that ultimate in the last engage was perfectly timed, because when you use that Living Nightmare, it resets your dash cooldown. So it's important to take note of that you'll still be safe upon landing, even if you go up and down.
Things have slowed down, at least for the moment. Team Queso still holds on to a gold lead. I wonder, are they controlling the totem a lot more?
7-1, that is a big deal,
That
yeah.
might be where that extra bit of gold is coming from.
You're looking at a 750 gold difference between these two teams just from that objective alone.
So that could just about be it, despite the fact that I think largely it's been OutCold, the ones with more pressure here this game, and the ones who have been able to get obviously more kills. This nice pressure from Julio over Dimi has worked out. And remember, that's another decision OutCold made, right? They picked the Merlin, but they chose this Achilles for Dimi over the King Arthur. Clearly, OutCold don't value this King Arthur that highly.
No, they definitely don't. But if you consider the damage that Breez and FrostiaK is doing this early on, if that damage ever falls off, you got to execute to really capitalize on whatever the remainder is.
There's definitely a fight happening around these mid-harpies, though, as WorstTurttle moves up. FrostiaK considers coming in to try and get things started off. And in goes Breez to get things started. Kraken follows up right behind. The Whirlpool too strong, and Dracomarino goes down. OutCold yet again. Catch Queso napping.
Yeah, this is really problematic now. Julio going to miss the Excalibur's Wrath under that tier 1 solo tower. Going to have to think about another way to engage. But this damage onto Dracomarino has been so consistent. If we could actually see the damage received, we would see that PrettyPriMe is no longer with us on the Battleground of the Gods. But all the damage onto Dracomarino must be like 5,000 damage received at this point.
Well, that's not a bad case you want to make if you want to make a case for this Nuwa pick. The problem is that you have to get the dream scenario for the Nuwa damage to be that high, where you're exploding both the soldiers and the Shining Metals, hitting them for damage too, and it still wasn't even enough to one-shot Prime. It brought him very close, and then Worst had to come in to clean it up. So I get it. It looks nice, but I just don't know how often you get that result.
He could have beats earlier. I don't know if he had the Aegis. He did hit level 12, but I don't know if he backed in time to purchase that relic. But not sure if his flicker was available. Caught between a rock and a hard place. OutCold Gaming still struggling in the gold department, being down 2,000 gold now. Off with a difference of 875 gold from the Totem of Coups. Breez going to disengage from Oracle Vision Control now, going to OutCold.
Rage coming in early here from Chekio. I like this item. Jingwei can so often benefit from crit anyway. Get this Rage early on, especially because he's been under very little pressure this game. FrostiaK only came over maybe once on that dual lane, so go ahead and get this Rage stacked up. But is there going to be enough fighting for that stacks to even happen for Chekio is the question. Maybe he'll rotate a little bit more now.
I'm surprised Warchi goes into that ultimate there. No one was even close to FrostiaK to play follow-up crew. There's vision control from Queso on those right side mid camps. Breez's blink wasn't available. Not sure if Queso had that intel or not, but better safe than sorry, holding on to the beads regardless. Chekio looking for some poke damage onto Spudio. Looking for some rage hits onto Breez.
Whether or not he knew it, he certainly did have some action coming his way. It won't result in any stacks or anything like that, as Chekio rather makes that relatively easy. Dimi under a good bit of pressure in solo, but still okay for now. He went with Blink as his second relic, so yet again, OutCold going to be light on team fighting relics.
This time I think Julio's getting a little more value on the Arthur by having that one assist at that level 2 marker, but hasn't really rotated to flex this Arthur quite yet. Finishing off the boots after Blackthorn's hammer. We need to see a little bit more from Julio to prove that this Arthur pick is valuable.
A lot going to be on his plate, as he's not going to have an easy time spinning through a Poseidon whirlpool in this fight. It's going to make things pretty difficult. But he knows he doesn't worry about the traditional sort of Guardian disruption that can normally plague King Arthurs. There's just not one on the side of OutCold. If he can get away from the whirlpool or from the Cobra's Kiss from Breez, then he's largely free to sit on whomever he wants.
Finishing off the Genji's guard also. Gold Fury being started by OutCold Gaming. Going in with the agility as Chekio forced the beats away.
That's an all-in commit, and that Gold Fury's already done. Rat ultimate lands on the Breez, and they'll get support for the objective. But again, OutCold probably happy with that trade, as long as they don't lose too much else on the back end.
Yeah, Breez dying there is almost like, you know, getting a pity laugh from a really bad joke. You know, like my joke that you pity laugh too? Like that one right there.
I get plenty of pity laughs too, Tori. We're all there. Listen, we've got a really withholding caster group here. They don't like to show affection or that they care. So we have to just, you know, pretend sometimes.
Oh, you're right. Dimi gonna try to pretend to
That's
be
a great
alive,
start.
but Julio with WorstTurttle is gonna have to deal with Spudio.
Yeah, Dimi just turned that fight around with 1-2-man stun, and they have a chance now to clean up house. The first in trouble is Dracomarino, a double kill for Dimi. Julio and Dracomarino sent back to base the hard way, and this tier 1 tower could be in trouble. I mean, if he doesn't get that 2-man stun, I think he dies.
Uh-oh, WorstTurttle gonna blink right before getting in combat. FrostiaK between the tier 1, tier 2 tower, as the rest of his team cleans up the tier 1. Warchi realizing he's not at the right place or the right time. Might even lose their tier 2 tower.
Breez can try and slow this down, but he cannot win this 1v1, so he must be careful. But yeah, this tier 2 tower and right, that is secured. OutCold grab an extra 1,500 gold. I said he can't win this fight, but he brings Chekio down quite low to half HP. But yeah, one nice rage crit comes through and Breez is done.
Just 411 damage, trying to call
Casual.
for help. Right there, as Chekio does get 500 gold, mitigating some of what OutCold Gaming was able to do on the right side. Still controlling a majority of this gold lead. Not by much, though. It's been basically whittled down to only 500 gold.
It's actually crazy. Queso had the gold lead all game long. Has it just been the difference in these totem?
It was. I think last time I checked, it was 8-1,
Yeah.
which was 875 gold differential just from that objective alone.
Look how close and back and forth this match has been. But it does just feel like OutCold are the aggressors, the one with all the pressure right now and dictating the pace of the game. A 3-1-5 Merlin in the middle lane feels good. But so you look over and see he's actually a little bit behind Warchi in terms of experience. You know, your 1-0-7 Poseidon feels good, but he's only a little bit ahead of the Ratatoskr. It's not as if they created a ton of space between themselves and Queso.
Dimi last time was safely under his tier 1 tower. Now he's safely next to FrostiaK. Not too much mana to follow up as FrostiaK. Warchi gonna actually get taken out even before the Fatal Strike was necessary.
Julio goes up into the sky, but just like we said, he'll have a blizzard waiting on him when he lands. 2 quick kills for OutCold yet again on this right-hand side. FrostiaK ulted, dropped the Whirlpool, and then just backed, trusting Dimi to be able to clean that up with some help from Prime.
He had no mana to do anything, and I don't think Dracomarino has much of a health pool after this last breath. Finding the basic attack, Breez, last hits, and even spreading the poison a little bit to WorstTurttle, getting him down to 50% health. Chekio on the back end, forced to use the beast, trying to do whatever he can with that airstrike. Off the mark was WorstTurttle with that through the cosmos. No. Chekio getting taken out. Only a lonely Ratatoskr to scurry the world to watch as OutCold Gaming starting up the Fire Giant.
A bit of a collapse now here from Team Queso, and this can happen sometimes after really, really long games, where the teams both come back in and make adjustments, and whose adjustments hit home first. And this time it was OutCold who said they were going to put their foot on the gas early on this game. I mean, look at this aggressive comp. Everyone on it can kill you.
Well, the thing was that OutCold Gaming really didn't do anything special. Queso tried to gank Dimi twice in a row and ultimately failed, giving a window for OutCold Gaming to do something off of it. Not to saying OutCold Gaming didn't make plays before that, because certainly FrostiaK, Breez, and PrettyPriMe was heavily abusing Dracomarino, but they weren't getting objectives off of that. The very first play onto Dimi that failed, OutCold Gaming get 2 towers on the right. The second play, OutCold Gaming get a Fire Giant.
Julio blinks in, but Breez, ever calm, able to just disappear. He didn't have a whole lot of options anyway, even if he did feel as though he was under more pressure, so he makes his way back out of there. But I get what you're saying. You know, it's not as if OutCold have had some immaculate game plan. To be fair, they did put a Poseidon in the jungle. That's pretty different from what we see nowadays. And it by all measures, has absolutely worked. 1-0-9, a part of 10 of the 13 kills. I mean, FrostiaK's been all over the map.
It's calculated, the Poseidon jungle. They last picked it knowing that they can set up with Breez on the Serqet support. 20% CDR. You want to survive the backline potential. He's just basically trying to cripple as many times while still surviving in these fights.
That has got to be what it is. It's utility, because he has the Gem of Isolation as well, with which to pull them back in. And if he goes into the Genjis, he'll have even more cooldown, and he'll be using his ults a lot.
I call this the blue build, where you're going for the Shoes of Focus, Spear of Magus for the extra penetration, Gem of Isolation for the utility. Normally, that breastplate is a Chronos Pendant. Chekio uses the airstrike just to disengage. Up in the sky, Spudio. Missing the root. Zoning Chekio to go on the right just to eat the Kraken.
Chekio did everything that a human person can do in that situation and still ends up falling. He's gone all in on the crit path, recognizing how squishy this comp is as opposed to normal ones, but he just hasn't had a chance for that to hit home. Tier 1 tower goes down, Tier 2. So the good news is for Queso, they were able to grab the Tier 2 over in solo lane as well, but now they have to get in position to defend this Phoenix.
Breez trying to stop WorstTurttle from backing to defend that left side. Phoenix, Merlin damage coming through, Dracomarino. He got so tired of getting engaged on these, like, finally, let me try.
Execute off the mark from Dimi. I don't know if it would have hit home anyway with that execute there. That's good damage from Warchi. And so up into the air goes WorstTurttle. He's got himself a FrostiaK in his sights, but can't quite close the gap. Hits nothing with the actual knockup. So now it's Team Queso looking to disengage, but OutCold want to come right back in. They've got the flames coming through from Merlin, and Warchi goes down and cooked him quite nicely. And now WorstTurttle over the wall, wasn't expecting it.
Why are you backing literally in front of the face of OutCold Gaming? Dracomarino taking a whole bunch of damage. Spudio credit with that one. Kraken knocking up Julio. Spudio with a double kill. Left side Phoenix gonna go down. It's only Chekio to play defense 1v5.
Tired of 52-minute games is OutCold. They want to close things up a lot sooner. And like you said, totally, this really does come down for me to those multiple ganks onto Dimi on that solo side. In particular, the 2-man stun he hits under the tower really sets up to give the rest of his team time to rotate over. They can never kind of recover from those 2 losses in a row.
Those were the 2 nails in the coffin, those 2 fail ganks onto Dimi. There was a lot of plays by FrostiaK, Breez, and PrettyPriMe to start an early game pressure, but Dimi was losing those Totem of Coups, so the game was still relatively even. But once those ganks happened, it was all OutCold all the way.
Absolutely, a really strong response game from them. And you just saw it here, guys. When some of the best are playing, put Poseidon in the jungle and win your games. Go give it a try at home. Don't queue with me, though. Don't queue with Tolly. Just, do it with your friends. You're not as good as FrostiaK, so maybe don't try that. We'll get it back over to the desk, though. Tell us what you guys saw.
Somewhere FDOT is very, very happy right now that Poseidon jungle works, and it works very well in that game. But it was because of Breez and the Serqet support, in my mind. Those two in particular, Breez and FrostiaK, were really just holding hands all game long, killing anybody that came in their way.
And it felt like the consistency as well. There was a lot of synergy going on in that game, too, between Breez and FrostiaK. So many landing Cobra's Kisses and last breaths that just made the setup incredibly easy for the rest of OutCold to kind of follow up on. And you have to appreciate the fact that Dimi held his own in solo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as they mentioned, a lot of ganks that don't go Team Queso's way that OutCold is able to turn around and start playing very well with. Spudio has a great game on the Chernobog. He's able to affect the map really, really nicely. I think he had assists or kills on 12 out of the 18 for OutCold. That's a very high participation percentage for an ADC. He's able to affect the map very, very well. And how about Breez? I mean, again, this is a dude who started playing SMITE not that long ago and playing Serqet, a high execution character, very, very well.
And it started from level 1, where Breez was already trying to make an impact, harassing Julio at his blue buff, not trying to let that solo laner have really much of a luxury for free clear or farm. And even though Serqet is a little bit more strenuous from the support position, Breez honestly played this like jungler number 2.
He played it very, very well. All of OutCold played well. I mean, the Merlin, first pick for Prime, had the one spill in mid where he kind of got outplayed pretty hard, but outside of that was staying safe, did plenty of damage. This was just a team effort from OutCold. This is what, 4 in a row for them? 3 in a row for them, I should say, in a row in victories. And as I mentioned, they aren't eliminated from MSI. Queso is now with this loss. OutCold's still alive, but they need the loser of our next set, Flashpoint and Simplicity, to lose out in order for it to happen for them.
And they also have to win the remainder of their sets on top of that.
That's right.
So it's 2 clauses that are definitely going to be tough for the stars to kind of align on, but we've seen it happen before in the past, so I'm not going to completely rule OutCold out just yet.
No, I don't think you can. Look at the gold per minute for Breez, 562, just 1 gold per minute below his own jungler. Otherwise, one of the highest in the entire game. Very, very impressive performance from him. He continues to grow with each coming week, and as does OutCold. I mean, this is the OutCold that we expected, Taco.
This finally feels like an OutCold that has begun to find its footing and can then now start, I think, kind of focusing on the weaker aspects for what they feel might be some of the weaker aspects. I think for the most part, it's just accustoming or Breez getting a little bit more familiar with mechanics and different supports that can open up a bigger diversity of his god pool. And I don't know, man. I feel like as a team, they're already able to recognize strong points throughout a match, and we definitely got a lot of that in Game 2, where OutCold kind of just hit the gas pedal. They didn't give Queso any sort of recovery period to kind of try and work around. I think there was only really that one instance of a pick onto PrettyPriMe, and even then, we didn't really see OutCold budge even an inch for Queso.
No, I mean, only 22 minutes or so for that game. Very, very quick for an OutCold victory. But that's only set 1 of the day. Simplicity, Flashpoint, the top 2 teams in the European SML coming up right on the other side of this break.